Hey, so do you have any W-2 employees? Because if you do, you could get some pretty massive tax credits. In this video, we're going to go over 3 different tax credits you'd be eligible for if you ever had any W-2 employees. And just remember, tax credits don't just mean you get a tax credit in the future. It means retroactively you get checks from the IRS for actually having these employees on staff. So let's jump into the first one. The first one is probably one that you've heard about before. It is the ERTC, Employee Retention Credit, or Employee Retention Tax Credit. Basically, what it is a tax credit you get for keeping staff on 2020 and 2021 when COVID was very scary. If you kept staff on then, you would be eligible for this tax credit potentially. So let's just go through. This is a guide that we made all about it. So check the link in the description or the pinned comment to actually get access to this guide. It's pretty helpful to see if you qualify and to learn a bit more about it. It's not for contractors. It's not for your family members if you're a 50% owner. But basically what it is this is the payout amount. It's up to $26,000. You maybe have heard that number. Few people ever get that. It's probably in the range of between $14,000 and $24,000 that you get per employee, which is super significant. There's nothing else that's giving out more than this. So if you haven't received this, check it out. And you're eligible even if you don't lose a lot of money. And what it is about $1,600 for the first 3 quarters, $7,000 max for the first 3 quarters of 2021. And the main way that people qualify is based on nominal impact. And I'll just explain this super simply. We're not going to get too deep into this. But was there a part of your business, whether that's like number of hours, a sector of your business that represented 10% in 2019? Pre-COVID, that then had a greater than 10% decline. So did you have a 10% decline in working hours in a sector of revenue? Say your dine-in services at a restaurant went down by over 10%, probably over by 90%. You would be eligible for this. So we've got all the different qualification methods, significant decline, nominal impact, COVID impact. So yeah, check the link in the description to get this actual guide. All right, the next one is I'm going to take you to the boring IRS website. It's the R&D Tax Credit. This is great for anyone who is in the sciences, who is in research and development, biotech, and mainly technology. And if you have any software developers, this is huge. And you can get up to $250,000 back 3 to 4 years in the past. So if you're in California where you can get 4 years back, if you do the R&D tax credit, you can get $250,000 4 years back. So you can get up to $1 million if you had software developers. And how that works is you get roughly 10% of their wages back, maybe a little bit more, up to 13%. So let's show you a little bit more about this in the graphic. And also a link in the description if you want access to these, but I'll just go over to the Cliff Notes. That's 10% of qualified wages. Basically what that means, say you have 10 software developers, each making $250,000. I know that's a little bit of an exaggeration, so $2.5 million. So if you're able to get 10% of that back, you would be getting the $250,000. And remember, you wonder which software developers it is. If they're ever working on something, see if we can blow this up, that has some technical uncertainty right here. Technical uncertainty, utilize an iterative process of trial and error to develop this, and you developed or improved technology, so programming, or something operational. That's even interesting. If you developed and progressed your operational processes, this would also qualify you. And you get roughly 10% on not only the wages, but supplies, equipment, and obviously the big one is wages of technical people, software developers, and things of that. So I have this document, and this is mainly for tech and software firms. And then this one is for the biotech, life sciences, pharma. Any company that has R&D, research and development, is eligible. These are just the 2 big dogs in the industry. So remember that. So if you have R&D, think and consider the R&D tax credit. I give you this guide. I even know a couple companies that are good at fulfilling this. It's pretty hard to do on your own. It's good to get a specialist. So I know it's not as fun to look at IRS documentation, but I'm going to walk you through this one. So remember I mentioned the ERTC and the R&D tax credit. Both of those are retroactive, meaning you just get checks from the IRS if you do qualify for the previous years. However, worker opportunity tax credit's a little different. Once you start it, every employee you hire on will take a survey, and then you would potentially qualify for their wages. Remember, it's up to $9,600 per employee you get back just for hiring them. And the reason for this is basically worker opportunity tax credit. You're giving workers who maybe didn't have the opportunity the ability to work, and thus you're getting tax credit. So here's some of the targeted groups. The big one, the one that pays out the most, is if you're hiring veterans, you get $9,600, qualified veteran, qualified ex-felon, designated community resident, vocational rehab referral, summer youth employee, anyone who's been on any sort of government benefits like SNAP, that's food stamps, anyone who's on direct payouts from the government, or if they were long-term assisted living, or if they were living in section 7, section 9, government housing, or if they were living in subsidized government housing. All of these people, if you do hire them, you will get a tax credit back. But it ranges, and it all starts with having good documentation, record keeping. I also have check the link in the description for this one if you're interested in looking a little bit more into this. It's good to start as soon as possible and working with a company that just does all the record keeping for you. And I work with a really good company who does this as well. So in summary, we're able to talk about the 3 different tax credits that you should really look into if you had any W-2 employees. First being the ERTC, Employee Retention Tax Credit. Did you have any staff, W-2 staff, not contractors, 2020 or 2021, when COVID was there and it was scary? The CARES Act is still paying out up to $26,000, more like $22,000 per employee you had on. Number 2, R&D Tax Credit. Do you do any research and development? Do you have any employees that are software developers or anyone in technology? Do you have anyone who does actual research and innovation? Any of those things do qualify. Usually anyone who's a software developer does qualify because there is technical uncertainty. So those 2, you get checks just for starting off. And third of all, just to get started, to get up to $10,000 per person you hire in the future, WOTC, Worker Opportunity Tax Credit. You're going to need to start the process now to get any credits in the future. The other 2, you just get previous tax credits just for doing the credits. So great opportunity to get money now or to keep getting money in the future for hiring people. If you're interested in learning more, check the link in the description. I'll give you some guides, or if you want to have a call, happy to jump on a call with me or my team. We'll tell you a little bit more about the whole process. And let me know if you have any questions in the comment area. I'll get back to those every day.